Welcome to Women in the Arena podcast, the podcast celebrating women doing extraordinary things in plain sight. I'm your host, Audra Egan, and our mission is to elevate the value, strength, and resilience each woman brings to the world. Without further delay, let's go ahead and start the show. Welcome in, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me again this week at Women in the Arena podcast, where we are celebrating all of you doing extraordinary things in plain sight. Before we get to this week's guest, I want to take a moment to say thank you and extend my gratitude for all of your patience and your support. Last week was weird. We had absolutely no idea we were going to start the week with a hack, but in podcasting, as in life, we just rolled with it, and here we are back again this week with an exciting and extraordinary guest. I cannot wait for you to meet her. Thank you for joining me again this week, and let's start the show. Welcome in, everyone, and thank you so much for being here again today. Oh my goodness. The woman that has joined with me today is remarkable and amazing. There's not enough accolades that I can use to describe her. As a matter of fact, she has so many achievements next to her name, I don't even have enough time to read them all to you. So let me just give you a little bit. So I'm joined by Ikimi Dubose, and she is currently the executive director of the Roots Fund, Inc. But that's just the cherry on the top of this cake. So she was destined to be a lawyer, but as life had it, it changed, and she went to culinary school at Johnson & Wales University. After graduation, she was the youngest and first woman to complete the Marriott and Ritz Carlton management training program. The first. This is amazing. She has also led culinary teams as the back of the house on Capitol Hill. She has run the front of the house. She has opened up restaurants and food halls all over the world. And now she has this nonprofit initiative as the Roots Fund. Like I said, it would take me all day to read you everything that she's accomplished, but I'll let her tell you herself. It is my great pleasure and my honor to introduce to you Ikimi Dubose. Ikimi, thank you so much for being here today, and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I so appreciate it. I feel like you did a great job with that intro. I should take you on the road with me. All my press events.
we could do a road show. It'll be great. I'd love it. I'd love it.
Women in the Arena on the road.
That could be a show.
That could be a show. As soon as we're outside again, sign me up.
You know what? We said it here first. It may be a road show. Just look out for us.
There we go. We're manifesting that.
So, Kimmy, like I had said in the intro, you have so many accolades next to your name, so many achievements. I cannot do them justice. So will you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Started out, like you had mentioned earlier, about wanted to go to law school, was very academically in tune, so to speak, from a young age. And I ended up, due to the lovely system in New York City for processing high school students, I ended up at Park West High School. It was a culinary program, but the whole plan was to just stay there for 3 to 6 months. And then at that time, I was going to transfer into John Jay or a program at, Brooklyn Tech. And when the 6 months were up, I was fully committed to culinary school. I love being a chef. I think from a young age, I recognized in my family, even when there were the worst of times, food brought people together. And I saw that from my paternal and my maternal side of the family. So it's always resonated with me. Was not supported by my family. They thought that it was a waste of my great mind to become a chef because that, of course, in their eyes required no mental capacity. But I stuck with it. I got my first tattoo, I think, when I was around 16 years old, and it was a chef on my left arm. And I said, if I'm going to stay committed and I'm going to get this tattoo, I'm not going to be one of those people with a tattoo that has nothing to do with their life. So I said, I'm going to brand myself.
You put it on your skin. You're like, okay, I'm going to get this done. Here's the commitment.
I was like, every day when I wake up, I will stay committed to this because it's tattooed on my arm. And that's the story. And that's what I'm sticking with. And fortunately, a nonprofit organization called CCAP, which is based out of New York, put me through college and kind of started my life of community service from there. My mom's a big humanitarian in Brooklyn, does a lot of charity work. So I saw it a lot growing up, but it really connected for me when I was able to reap the rewards from a scholarship. So that kind of started my culinary path, allowed me to really travel around the world. Marriott and Ritz took a chance on me when I was only 17 years old. And I started.
Wait, what? You were 17?
Yeah, that's when I started working at the Marriott World Trade Center prior to 9/11. And I started out there and I had a chef, Walter Plender. He's world-renowned Olympian, Bocuse d'Or, all of those great things. Took me under his wing and I pursued him because I heard that he didn't work with women. And I was told that.
So you're like, challenge accepted.
Hire a woman. So I'm like, challenge. I literally sat outside of his office for like a month straight in the freezing cold of winter in New York City, every day asking him to hire me. And finally, one day it was freezing. He came out with a hot cup of tea and he gave it to me and he told me to come back the next week. He didn't think I would last that long, but I came back every day. He's actually been one of my biggest cheerleaders. And when I went up for a scholarship, I didn't win the grand prize. So when they had the scholarship breakfast and he found out I wasn't getting the grand prize, he stomped to the front of the room and like went up on a tirade about how I was the best person in this program. And that he had committed that day that if they wouldn't pay for me to go to school, he would personally pay out of his pocket because he knew that I was going to be something special. So to this day, I still, write him letters all the time. And he moved back home to Austria, but I thank him for really supporting me throughout my career. And he kind of got me started, putting me in the right hands. And I just was blessed every step of the way to really have people to support me.
See, one person can change the world.
Yeah.
That one person changed yours.
Definitely. It definitely changed my trajectory of what a woman could do in the business. And I ran into many institutions like that. I would say the majority of every role that I've had has been an all-male environment. In the culinary world, I didn't say that I experienced discriminatory as far as race, but as far as being a woman, I was never, ever welcomed from the gate saying, okay, she's talented, she's skilled. It was always reproving myself. Even after years of being in the business, I constantly had to redo it. So as I moved up the ladder, it was even harder to manage and discipline people who were older than you, all male staffs, a lot of gaining respect, working side by side with them, trying to win their trust in order to manage them and be a good kitchen brigade.
So this was you being a head chef, back of the house, head of the culinary department that you're running, probably one of the only women in the kitchen with mostly men.
Yep. Almost all the time. Sexual harassment. I had went through a case that was pretty aggressive. Fortunately, I didn't handle it properly because no one had educated me at that time that I should have mentioned it or told someone, and it kind of erupted. And then I made it known that, hey, this has been going on for months and people here at work know about it. And it caused a big thing. And at that point, I did have a good executive chef I was under who, saw my side of the story, listened to me, heard him out, and there was disciplinary action. But I know in a lot of cases, women who I've worked alongside did not have that same courtesy extended to them. And I've seen a lot of things being in kitchens, especially in New York City, Chicago, LA, places I've worked. It's definitely it's a tough world for a woman out there. And still to this day, there's a lot more women chefs, but a lot of them are making their way on their own, not necessarily in brigades that are well known.
So you had to make it on your own and create a name for yourself over and over and over again. But I know that you took a leap, and after years of being in back of the house with the kitchen, you took a step up front and decided that you wanted to go front of the house. So tell us a little bit about that and what initiatives that you have worked on that was allotted to you because you moved in front of the kitchen rather than the back?
Really going to the front of the kitchen was because I had reached this glass ceiling. So on one side, I was making great money as a chef, but I was never home for holidays. I was always traveling. And there was never any like personal time, self-care time. When you're in the kitchen, you're on your feet 15, 16 hours a day, 6, sometimes 7 days a week. It'd be time I worked 2, 3 weeks at a time every single day and not take a break. And also I had suffered the loss of a couple of chef friends that had committed suicide over the years. And emotionally, it had definitely took a toll on me. And I said to myself, I don't want to end up down a long bottle of vodka or feeling so stressed out that I can't manage or can't deal. And I started working with a lot of mental health things for chefs. And I said to myself, they tell us that as a chef, you can't move to the front. Being in the front requires you to be too polished. We've been working in the back for so long, we don't really have the type of tenacity that's needed to be out front. And I really just started focusing in on front of the house managers and eventually moved into a front of the house manager role. Kind of had to start from the bottom despite the management experience that I had. But over time, quickly, probably about 3 or 4 years, I worked my way up to a GM role and then restaurant director and the director of operations. So it definitely has been a feat, but you have to stick in there. You have to stay focused and try to get mentorship from the best people in that particular field to really grow your career and bring you forward. And after working all those years managing front of the house large teams, I was able to manage regional teams. At one point with my last role, I had over 61 restaurants reporting into me. So it
Wow.
was a pretty big job.
61.
Yeah, and I really prided
61.
myself on understanding, on knowing in every restaurant everyone's name, how many kids they had, remembering birthdays, sending cards. I think that's what really made my teams work really hard for me because I was not at the top of the food chain, just showing up from out of town, making demands, pointing my finger. I would come in from out of town to a restaurant location that was busy, in heels, switching to clogs or Crocs, and I would be in the dish pit laughing with the dish guys. I'm there at the end of the shift. I'm in the back watching them polish silverware, talking about their healthcare plans and what other things they want to do. And I think I've always prided myself on being connected to people because their lives and their experiences resonate with my own life. So I think that's what's really gotten them motivated to really work hard for me and work. I've worked alongside of them.
So because of your experience, your management experience, your regional experience, you were able to work on a couple of different food initiatives around the country. Tell us a little bit about some of the food initiatives that you've done.
Sure. Spent some time at the FDIC through my time on Capitol Hill working with Nancy Pelosi's administration when they started the greening campaign. And I mean, this was years ago when no one in the US really knew what greenware was. Capitol Hill was one of the first places that kind of tested out products in the US, outside the US. I'm just looking for the best way to create a healthier eating environment, especially for to go, for our earth, things that were sustainable. So that was an awesome project. During that time, it was the Obama administration, and Michelle Obama had done Let's Move. And while I was at FDIC, we did a big campaign around eating healthy in schools and showing schools that there was a way to put together great food that wasn't necessarily what I grew up on, which was chicken tenders and the little round pizzas. Um, and tater tots every day. It's like when there was tater tots, everyone came to lunch. And just kind of,
Absolutely. That was
yeah,
the highlight is, oh, there's tots today. Let's go.
yep, supporting and just encouraging healthy eating, especially in our communities that are in our largest cities, which are heavily populated with communities of color that are facing poverty, just to be able to offer these different options cost effectively to schools. I mean, that was a great initiative. And then when I worked with Lifeworks Restaurant Group, which was super awesome. I got to be able to design restaurants and food halls and kind of got my feet into that and designed a great location in DC on Georgetown's campus. So there's been a lot of just growth and really just living out my dreams and not taking no for an answer.
Well, I love that you didn't take no for an answer because of your initiative, because of your tenacity, you somehow were led through all of these different steps and roles that you have held in your life it led you into the nonprofit world. So tell us a little bit about that, and then let's definitely talk about the Roots Fund and what that mission is.
So, like I had mentioned early on about receiving a scholarship from a nonprofit and growing up in a household that really was about community service, starting the Roots Fund was literally, I would say, 2 years ago. I said to myself, I want to make a change. I left corporate America. I took about 6 months off. I drove the California coast from the top to the bottom on the Big Sur, in a nice Mustang with the top off and driving really fast, and had this big aha moment that it was really time to put myself into service. I was working a lot with mental health things. I was working a lot with teenage programs around the country. And I reached out to a couple of organizations in search of becoming a nonprofit executive director. So these were organizations I had helped over the years. And I figured, hey, why not ask for a job in this sector? I've been doing the work unofficially for a really long time. And everyone said to me, oh, you don't have a degree in nonprofit work. Oh, we appreciate what you've done in fundraising and budgeting and speaking out for our causes, but we don't think that you'd be a good fit for this. And I kind of felt a little bit defeated because I was so used to kind of someone giving me a little bit of a chance. And I said to myself, I really got to work harder. And Carlton and I, who is a co-founder of Roots Fund, he and I have been friends. He went through the same organization as I did. We got together and said, hey, we want to create a big initiative and we want to do it together. And he's like, we should do it for the wine industry. And I said, that's awesome. But we've really got to get connected with people of color in wine if we really want to help them. And we connected with Tahira Habibi, who is the owner of Hue Society, which is one of the largest Black wine professional networks. And the three of us put our minds together. Initially, we said, okay, we're going to help out a few people that need wine education. This isn't going to be a big thing. We'll raise some money. We'll give out some scholarships, and maybe every year we can get together and do this. But when we reached out, the all call for support, it was just immeasurable. Not only the amount of people who wanted to help out, the amount of people who we felt were just not getting their fair shot in this business. And we said, we need to create something. And before you know it, we created this nonprofit organization in the middle of a pandemic.
So tell us about the Roots Fund. And, we know that it was literally built as grassroots, as an idea between you and Carlton. And it was, well, let's help a couple of people out. But what is the Roots Fund, and where are you going? How do you serve with the Roots Fund?
Yeah, so definitely, I would definitely say, Carlton's knowledge of wine, Tahira's vast connections in this industry to the communities of color, putting that together with my passion for helping people and experience and hospitality. It's like a trifecta of magic that we have. And the Roots Fund is a nonprofit organization, and it's focused on, creating pathways for the Black, Indigenous, and Latinx community or Hispanic community in wine. And really, we create financial support through scholarships, mentorship, and job placement opportunities. And what kind of makes us super awesome, I feel, is that most organizations just give scholarships and walk away. You really don't know what happens to these people. I wanted to create something similar to what had helped me go through college. And that was an organization that would not only support my education financially, but would support me throughout my life and help me grow my career. So with the Roots Fund, what makes it so exciting, our scholarship recipients are mandatory have to get a mentor. They mandatorily have to check in. If they're in school, they have to report their grades. They get to ask for tutoring. In the wine business, there's a lot of drinking wine that happens in order to be educated. So we provide a lot of that. But I think what we're creating here that makes us different from the rest is we're creating community. And a lot of people of color in this space, there's a lot of people helping right now, giving out money, but there aren't a lot of people that are building community that's genuine, that's authentic, where people can be themselves in a space. And I think that's what the Roots Fund is creating.
So I'm really curious as to what percentage of representation is there in the Black, Indigenous, people of color, Latin, Hispanic population. Do you know what that percentage is in the culinary and wine industry?
For the wine industry, it's less than 5%. And the wine industry is a nearly $70 billion business. So just equate what that means.
Less
of,
than 5% in a
yeah.
70 billion with a B?
Yep. Billion with a B.
Wow.
In culinary, there's a lot more ownership. Those statistics I really don't have in front of me, but they're definitely way higher. You can you can actually be in conversation with someone. They can probably tell you about a chef of color in their city or a place that they've been or a show that they've watched on TV. And the wine industry has kind of been a quiet thing. And there's a lot of people in wine from communities of color that no one in the world knows about, or they started and they quit because so many obstacles have been put in front of them that have not been allowed to kind of jump over those hurdles. Because in culinary, there's a lot of things. There's chef shows, there's a ton of culinary school programs. They've been kind of in this fight a lot longer than the wine industry. I think some exposure has just been put on the wine industry more recently in the past couple of years about the disparity against communities of color. So we're just kind of out there changing that. I won't say trying because I think the work we're doing already has spoken volumes for itself. We're actually doing some actionable things to change this industry.
I would say yes. So the students that you're supporting in the wine industry, are they all studying to be sommeliers, or are they running the gamut, like winemakers and wine managers, that kind of thing? What are they generally studying?
Okay, so this is the cool part. So our program right now has 30 recipients. Scholarships are open at this point, but we have 30 recipients from fall of 2020. And I
Wait,
would
hold on, because you
yeah,
just said that you started the Roots Fund in the
in
middle of the
June.
pandemic
Yep,
in June. You
yep,
have 30 scholarships already.
yes.
You rock. Now, I had to stop you there for a moment because it, because be- because this pandemic has opportunity if you look for it, and you went and got the funds for 30 scholarships to put 30 individuals through programs.
Yep.
Bravo to you. Bravo to you. So I just
Thank
wanted to
you, thank
stop
you,
you
thank
there
you.
because I needed to accentuate that point. I'm sorry. Go on.
Definitely. 30 people, 50% of that are folks who are training from wine education. So that could mean that they could be a som or they could be studying just to be a wine educator. So a lot of these wineries, as well as distribution programs, wine shops, they hire educators to come on board. It helps them create their list, curate their customer base, to have someone that's knowledgeable in that topic. It's a very well paid profession. So that's probably 50% of those in our program. And the rest of it is broken up into we have students who are studying in college, 4-year institutions, and they're studying to become winemakers, wine scientists. We have a couple PhD candidates from Cornell. So that's super exciting. They're women of color, and it's so great to sit down with them and talk about wine science and how they want to evolve that and what that looks like in our climate change aspect. And then we've got a portion of students who are in community colleges. And for communities of color, I like community college programs. And a lot of times people undersell that, but those educations are just as valuable. A lot of times they're closer to home for folks, so you don't have to worry about the expense of traveling, living on campus. And all the community colleges that we're working with right now are close to wineries that are also developing job opportunities. So it's kind of like a step by step sector to lead you through your career. And then we just have some folks who are just getting wine knowledge, where they want to know more about wine and have never had the time to really invest or afford to pay for education. We've got a small portion of folks like that in our program too. So it's very spread out. There's not any one type of thing. We focus on all types of professions in wine. We've got a couple people looking to run a wine brand, but they don't want to make wine. We've got some hospitality folks. We've got some folks in business as far as accounting, marketing, things of that measure. So it's a little bit of everything.
That's a pretty cool mix, actually. It sounds like you have a very nice variety of professionals that are entering wine, and that's super exciting because the more different points of view you have, the more beautiful the wine is.
Yeah.
The-
And the more inclusivity that we're actually bringing.
That which is fantastic because we should make sure that everybody has a seat at the table. I mean, like I said, having a different point of view makes everything that much more special. That's speaking from my point of view because I think that having everybody's voice makes things so much more interesting. I just think that it's just fascinating. You had mentioned that there's a couple of wineries that are owned or managed by people of color. Are there any names that you could give us that we could check out their wines?
Sure, there's so many on this list. Some things that come to mind, like Brown Estates in Napa, they're a super awesome wine brand and supporters of us as well. Um, Lafette, another big supporter of us. Dane, who owns Lafette and produces that lovely rosé, he was one of the first people that came to us to support us when we started out, when everyone just kind of looked at us like we were crazy, and did one of our largest fundraisers that we've ever had. So super appreciate him and everything that they're doing right now. There's Bodkin wines, there's Longevity, there's so many McBride, so many different black wine brands, more than everyone seems to think exists. But I definitely would say research it. Head to our Instagram. We're highlighting a lot of black brands this month on the Roots Fund, so it's a good way to check it out and really just educate yourself and get some knowledge around it.
Well, if you will allow me, I will get a list from you and I will post it to our social pages as well, so they can all check out these wineries on their own. Because I think that would be really fascinating. Though you already had me at rosé. That's all you had to say. Rosé. I'm good.
Yeah.
So, how can we as listeners support the Roots Fund? What can we do to help you?
There's always the first thing at the top of my list is to create funding for us. So if anyone is thinking about running fundraisers, they work for corporations that are looking for a way to give and create change. And in this pandemic times, where let's be honest about the situation financially, not every household is secure enough to give financially. And I tell folks that can't give, there are a million ways to give. Maybe you know someone in wine education that can be a mentor for our program. Maybe you know about some aspect of wine, whether it's distribution or sales, that is looking to hire people that you can connect us with, so we can help to assist in creating job opportunities for people of color. And at the end of the day, it's just about continuing to push education and awareness. So you may just want to share with other people the work that we're doing. That's really how we expand our network. We let more folks know about the work that we're doing.
So what's the best way to reach you if they had questions for you, or maybe had a referral for you? How can they reach you?
The best way to do it is just email us, wine@therootsfund.org. It's Can't really forget that email address. Is super simple. You reach our fabulous office of 10,000 people that we have behind this operation. That's just a joke.
Just
It's only,
kidding.
there's only three of us, actually. Most people think we're some big out corporation. There's actually only three people, so we definitely ask for your patience. But if you email wine@therootsfund.org, it's the best way to kind of get connected, or check out our website, www.therootsfund.org. And on all social handles, with the exclusion of Twitter, we are Roots Fund. So LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, you can kind of check us out. And for Black History Month this month, it's super awesome. We're creating history. We're actually showing off all of our scholarship recipients and their businesses. So that's super awesome. If you head to our Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, you can actually see them every day. Someone new is posted, or another Black wine brand is posted. And on Fridays, we do Black and Badass, which is where we feature someone in Black history that may not be as popular as the people we kind of see all the time. So it's a chance for us to kind of look at the world in a different way.
That's pretty fantastic. I appreciate you sharing the unsung heroes that we haven't heard of. And I have been following your Instagram, and it's pretty fantastic. So I encourage you all to go and take a look at their postings. I think that you might find them both educational as well as entertaining. Ikimi, I have a couple of questions for you, and one that I have never asked anybody, and I think you're the only one that I could ask this. So here's my first question.
Okay.
What in the world does this quote that is your tattoo on your back mean? This "find what you love and let it kill you." What are you talking about?
I I think that if there's anything in life that you really want that doesn't challenge you, that doesn't push back, that you can never say at any moment has ever broken you, really wasn't something that was truly destined for you. I feel that anything that we truly want in this life, we have to fight for. We have to fight through, and that means that there's going to be hurdles. There's going to be times where you want to quit. There's going to be times where you quit, left it, came back and picked it back up. I think that it haunts you when you don't delve into things that you're truly passionate about. And I think that at the end of the day, you want to leave this world with a legacy that you did something that not only made an impact on the world, but made an impact on yourself, that changed who you were. And I think that's how change is created. When you can find something within yourself that's bigger than you, that's what really leaves an impact and an impression. So find what you love and let it kill you. There's a global knife that stretches across my entire back. It's actually my very first knife that I bought out of my pocket. And it's drawn there as a reminder, that this is where I started. It has broken me on many days, but I've made it through, and it's what sustains me for the rest of my life. And I always come back to that. So it's never forgetting where I started, not forgetting where I came from. And I use those same values in everything that I do every day. So
Everybody should be that passionate about what they do. I mean, you committed to it from the time you were 16 to now. I
yeah.
think that is remarkable. When I read that, I was like, I've got to ask her this question, because that definitely has a deeper meaning to it, and your explanation of it is absolutely perfect. So I have a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
Next question is I typically ask what you're going to give away, and what you give away is scholarships. So I'm not going to ask that. I'm going to ask you what your superpower is.
My superpower is collecting people. And
Tell me more about that.
what that means is that I can come into a space with ultimate respect and observance abilities. And I'm not a talker when I first enter a space. I'm observing. I want to appreciate people, their culture, their struggles, the things that make them happy. I think I take all of those skills that I take from conversations, I really soak them in. It resonates well with me. I want to feel connected with people. I want to feel like they have a connection with me. And I think that's how I managed to get the work done. When I wanted to study food, like, I didn't think it would happen here. So I left the country and I didn't go out studying cuisines. I went out to study cultures and people, because that's how you connect with food. Food is what brings them together, but you got to see how they live. You got to appreciate who they are. You got to understand the stories behind the food that they were making. And I collect people. I meet people all the time, and I treat the guy. We just checked into a hotel today, and you treat the guy that's cleaning up the snow in the parking lot the same way you treat the person behind the front desk, the same way as you treat the manager that you may run into in the hallway. I think in life that we spend so much time in this class system and separating people, that if you just humble yourself and remind yourself where you came from, no matter your beginnings, and just gain someone else's life experience, is going to make you live a better life.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. You said that absolutely eloquently. I couldn't have said it better than myself. Since you are a chef, and I'm sure that many people are curious, what is your favorite cookbook? What's the one that you go to time and time again?
Oh, wow. No one's ever asked me that.
Really?
Yeah, no, I've never been asked that question. Oh, I think that favorite cookbook will probably be The Joy of Cooking. One of the first cookbooks I really studied and delved into. A lot of the stuff in the book I honestly would never cook because it's very American based, but a lot of principles and logic in that book that I kind of grew up around, and just really understanding that and the basic techniques. So The Joy of Cooking is a guide that kind of gets rewritten, I think, every 10 or 15 years. I probably got a couple different variations of it, but that's one of the books I look to. And probably, you didn't ask this question, but one of my favorite cuisines is Southeast Asian. I mean, just the people there, the culture there, the time I spent there is what really changed my life, and actually is my love for Chili's as well. So
Oh,
yeah,
Chili's,
that's where
yes.
that comes from.
Yes, well, being from a Hispanic background, I love chili. Chili's a food group. So,
Yeah.
I totally relate, completely relate. Um, just before we go, I wanted to give you an opportunity to leave one last statement with the audience. What would you say?
Oh wait, I've got something before the last statement. If
All
you're
right.
looking, yeah, if you're a person, even if you're not a person of color and you're just looking to educate yourself about wine, we've got a great partnership coming up with the Hughes Society. Tahira is one of our board of directors, but she runs the Hughes Society, and they're opening up chapters in states all around the country, and they're open to all people. And I think if you just want to know about wine, you're a little bit unsure, you're looking for a safe space where you can kind of describe things in the weirdest way. Oftentimes I say everything tastes like coffee, and everyone laughs at me, but definitely check that out, Hughes Society, and they're on all the social handles as well. But one statement that I could leave everyone with.
Yes.
Uh,
If I mean, you've left us with all kinds of pearls of your experience and your authenticity, but something that you can leave behind that we can all think about.
um, at the end of the day, I'm just a girl from Brooklyn. I grew up in the projects there, multi ethnic background, definitely had my share of hardships, homelessness, things like that. I had a lot of people around me who told me that I wouldn't make it or I wouldn't make much of myself, including people in my family. And I appreciate those who have supported me. So my statement really is if it's for you, it will be for you. You never give up on that. You keep working towards that. You find people who will support and encourage you. If there are people around you telling everything that you can do, you need to change the people you're around. You don't need to change yourself. Don't be afraid to walk alone, because sometimes that journey alone is when you find your best discoveries. And I think for a long time in my life, I worked in corporate America. I did everything because people told me I couldn't do it. And it wasn't to prove it to them, it was to prove it to myself that I was capable and that I deserved to be in that space. And even now, when I think about the word inclusive, everybody's like, oh, invite us into your space. It's not about inviting people of color into your space. It's about creating a new space where everyone has an equal playing field. And there's a lot of work to kind of get there and do that. But, that just attests to stick in your passion, live in your purpose. Don't let anything change you from that. There are 9 to 5 jobs we all got to do in this world to make a living. But once you find your passion, you got to find out a way to make that draw income, and you focus in on that because that's the impact you're leaving on the world. And yeah, I think that's it.
That's it. That was pretty darn powerful. Absolutely. Kimmy, you inspire me. I am so happy to have gotten to know you. I am so glad that you are in the world doing the work that you're doing. And I thank you so much for sharing your time with us, your experience with us, and thank you just so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly have spent the past week listening to all your episodes. I appreciate the work that you're doing. There's not a lot of platforms really acknowledging women. And I just want to take a moment to truly acknowledge you, Audra, because this work that you're doing, if no one's told you, is making an impact. And it's the first podcast I ever agreed to do. So that speaks volumes because I've turned down quite a few. But I'm super excited about doing this with you. And the reason why I wanted to do it is because I saw purpose in just talking with you. I saw purpose in your communication and talking with the women from all the different backgrounds and what you're talking about on this podcast. It's going to change the trajectory for a woman who's probably lost right now and unsure of herself. So that is important work that you're doing. And I just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. My purpose is to change the world one interview at a time. I wanted to create a platform that I could showcase women and their extraordinary value and the amazing things that they do in plain sight every single day. And I think, like I said, I thank you again so much for being here and for you sharing your life with us. I can't thank you enough.
No problem. And remember, once we're outside again, I'm going to come do a panel with you, and then you can tell all of us your story because I don't think anyone's interviewed you yet. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll be the first.
Yes. when we're out of here. When we're out of here, it's Women in the Arena Roadshow. Ikimi and I and
There we go.
all of our friends. We will roadshow.
We'll head out to Lodi. We'll head out to Lodi and we'll tape live there.
Yes, head out to Lodi because they have some amazing wine and vineyards there. It's awesome. Like I said, she's amazing. Please go check out the Roots Fund. They are an incredible organization, and I will make sure that I get a list of all of the wineries that Ikimi has suggested, and we'll go check them out. Everybody needs our support, and please continue to support those that are not represented. And you never know whose life you may change. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you again next time. And that's a wrap. Thank you all so much for being here. I can never give you enough gratitude because without all of you, none of this is possible. I am still always in awe that my guests are volunteering to be so bold in their vulnerability. So thank you for continuing to do that. And to my audience isn't the right word to describe you. So to you, I thank you. You are a community. So thank you for being a part of this community, and thank you for helping to nurture it and make it grow. And of course, I have this incredible team behind me that helps me produce this every single week. For Savannah, Alan, Jessica, Tina, Tisha, and my son Gavin, thank you so much for believing in me, believing in my mission, and continuing to help grow the Women in the Arena podcast. Thank you all so much for being here, and we'll see you next week.
This is just the beginning.
That's our show. I am so grateful for each and every one of you and your unwavering support and your continued belief in this movement that has become much bigger than me, much bigger than just a podcast. It has become this forward momentum that we are all doing together. If you are ready, or you know somebody that is ready to tell your story and share your value with the world, please connect with me. You can reach me at audra@womeninthearena.net. I am so honored and thankful that you will share your story with me, and I'll make sure that it is well taken care of. I will never stop thanking each and every one of you, and I cannot wait to talk to you again next week as we share another woman's story and we celebrate her doing extraordinary things in plain sight. We'll see you next time.